They say buying a car should be one of the happiest moments of your life. You save, you plan, you finally pick up the keys, and for a lot of people, that's exactly how the story goes. But for others, that's exactly where the nightmare begins. From broken promises and fake finance deals to hidden crash damage and cars that don't even exist, the dealership world can be brutal if you don't know what you're doing. Over the last few months, I've asked people to send in their own experiences, and honestly, I'm shocked. One thing I've realized is that these aren't isolated situations. They're patterns, they're not mistakes, they're scams. Thousands of pounds in lost deposits, written off cars sold as clean even though they were in crash damage situations. So in this video, I'm going to break down how dealerships, from small independents to major manufacturers, trick buyers every single day. We'll look at the real stories, the real receipts, and what you can do to protect yourself. Dealership scams come in all shapes and sizes. Some are subtle, little white lies just to close a sale. Others, straight up manipulation. One of the most common tricks is the false promise. You'll hear things like, if you buy this car now, we'll prioritize the next big deal for you. Or, if you take out our finance today, we'll give you an exciting exclusive offer. It sounds good and it feels personal, but in real life, it's just verbal promise that they'll never really honor. Luxury brands are infamous for doing this, dangling allocations or the promise of special models if you just do this or you just do that. They use hype as a leverage, but it also happens in everyday showrooms. Main dealers over-promising, loyalty bonuses, independents inventing fake discounts, or staff saying things like, we'll add this next time, or the next time you buy a car from us, we'll make sure we do this, just to secure a sale. Now we investigate the real people and the real stories. I asked some of you guys to send in some of your experiences of being scammed by a dealership, and some of the stuff that I saw was insane. So one of my followers, Dev, sent me his story. Basically, he purchased a car from a main dealer and they said that if he stayed loyal to the company, he'll get an extra £8,000 deposit contribution on his next car. That sounds great, right? Well, obviously, they didn't stick to that promise. So later on, when he returned, there was a £7,000 deal on a new model, meaning that Dev would then get a 15k in total discount, including the £8,000 from before, right? Well, wrong. The dealership's manager said that representative should have never said that. They should have never promised anything. And just like that, Dev was left with nothing but a broken promise. Also, Adam sent me his story. Adam paid a £1,000 deposit on a car that just needed an MOT. When he bought the car, it failed. They stalled and then they ghosted him completely. The company even changed ownership so they wouldn't have to be taken to court. Gone. £1,000 down the drain. And then there's my follower AJ, who bought a car, went to finance it, and found out from the finance company that the car had actually been written off. There was a long back and forth. He struggled. He tried to get his money back, but unfortunately, the dealership wasn't playing ball, and he eventually only got his money back when he went through the financial ombudsman. These are not rare cases. Things like this happen all the time. You need to have your wits about you, and you need to make sure that you're looking out for the kind of things that dealerships will do to make a buck. So right now I'm on the phone to my friend Jasper, who has a very interesting story that I want you to hear. So what actually happened?
So I made the very educated and highly wise decision to trust a dealership up north. I bought this car from them sight unseen because I trusted them stupidly. And as I bought the car, they said, yeah, cool, we'll get it shipped down to you, we'll take care of it. And as the car arrived, I was like, oh, it'll be on the back of a trailer. It's a 7.5 hour drive. No, it was just some random bloke called Steve. As soon as the car arrived down, it said on the dashboard, gearbox overheating issue, please turn the car off now. And immediately I was like, whoa, well, cleared the problem here. And he said, listen, mate, it's just popped up. And me stupidly being a nice person thought, right, okay, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. As soon as I went out to drive the car, within the next 15 minutes, the issue popped up again. And again. And immediately then I was like, right, well, we've got a problem here. So I called the main dealer. As I called the dealer and said, yo, I've clearly got a problem here. They said, yeah, we'll get back to you. I can't talk to you about this now. So immediately my finance guy went and spoke to them. And they said, you must have caused the issues because you've got a Lamborghini and because you evidently drive hard because you've got a Lamborghini. You have broken this car and you've caused the issue.
Oh my goodness.
So now immediately, luckily Mercedes came through, got the car to Mercedes. And I said to them, how could these issues have happened? And they said, This car has not been serviced correctly. It has not been taken care of. The gearbox has fundamental issues with it being pressurized. The coolant wasn't moving in it. And so massive overheating issues were taking place. Now, also, it turns out they didn't tell me this, right? But we had a check around the car. None of the panel gaps lined up on front.
Oh my goodness.
It had been crashed.
Oh my goodness.
They told me, and they neglected to tell me. Now, some could say, well, you didn't go see the car in person. And I didn't, and that was an issue on my behalf. I will own that. But we hit up our resident friend Sahib, the auto trader final boss, and he immediately managed to find pictures of my car that I have just purchased for full price, crashed, with the pictures of it being repaired.
Oh my god.
Online. Right?
Oh my god.
It turns out they didn't tell me. And upon going back to them, they said, no, it's not true. It's not true. Mercedes are lying. In their exact words, they said Mercedes are stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. And I must have caused these issues and there's nothing wrong with the car. So in a back and forth battle, we sort of came to the conclusion that this isn't worth my time or headache. They're refusing to have the car back. It could be 6 to 8 months before I get my money back for the car if we go through court, because we bought it through a business. And I just opted to stick with the car. So I've just paid £4,000 to get it sorted out and get some other bits done. And they're still refusing liability, and they're refusing to even pick up our phone calls now.
Jasper, you went through this issue, you had a problem. I think one thing that's good is that you're in a position where you can rectify the issues, but a lot of people aren't in that position. So learning from your mistakes, what would you advise people to do and not to do?
The only advice that I can purely give is anytime you're buying a car from a dealership that isn't main dealer, you always go and see it. And after that, you've got to go and get it checked by a main dealer.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jasper. Thank you for your time. That's really helpful, and hopefully that will help some of you guys at home. So as you heard from Jasper, he had what I would call a nightmare situation. Dealerships will try their best to buy a car for cheap and sell it as expensive as possible. Also, if the previous owner never got the damage repaired via insurance, the crash damage has never actually been declared. So for all you know, you've probably bought a crash damaged car. Maybe I have. You just would not know. But one thing that can help is doing thorough investigations, HPI checks, Googling the reg of the car even. Anything you can do to make sure that the car's got a clean bill of history. But this case isn't a 1 in a million story. I have another friend who's gone through something very similar. Before we get into any more dealership scams, I want to introduce you to this week's sponsor for my video, CarVertical, which coincidentally is the easiest way to check your car's history before you buy it. CarVertical pulls data from over 900 sources worldwide. Insurance databases, police records, service logs, everything. It can show if a car's been crashed, stolen, and if it's had its mileage clocked back. Or it can even show you photos from after the actual accident. For example, we are looking at a Porsche 918 Spider that looked all good, but we found out that the car had previous crash damage. You see, this is the kind of thing that dealers don't always tell you up front. And also, if you check a car and the report comes back clean, you get refunded all your credit. So it's a win-win. So to make sure that you do not fall into a trap when buying your car, use CarVertical. You can also use the code TOMI, T-O-M-I, to get an extra 20% off your first CarVertical check. Happy shopping. So Ricardo, let me know what happened with your story when you were scammed by a certain dealership.
So I bought this car. I bought a Nissan GTR. It was I can't even remember the name of the color, but it's like this burnt orange color. It was great. It was an 18 plate. It was 2020, so it was 2 years old. The dealership is quite far out north. It's like a 3.5 hour drive. So I didn't see the car many times before I bought it. I saw it once. I went up there, saw it. I thought, yep, this is the one. So I'm driving it back. It's about 300 miles back to my house. I noticed the TPMS light comes on, but I'm just like, that's fine, because that's fine. TPMS comes on. Maybe they just didn't change it when they changed the tire or something. Anyway, a couple of days later, like it was sunny, like April times, went outside and I saw it and I'm like, that bumper's a different color. Like the bonnet was a different color to the bumper. And so I called him up and I'm like, hey, why has this happened? Mm-hmm. And they said nothing's wrong with the car's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They made some bootleg like a report. They literally just sent me an email with some report from some company and it's like, yep, this car's fine. So I decided to take it to like Night Racer, who's like known for Nissan GTRs. They did a bunch of GTR work. And then they did a comprehensive report. They said half of the clips on the underside of the car were missing.
Oh my god.
It was like removed.
Yeah.
They said the bumper, I think they said about 6 clips hold the bumper on. the car only had 3, so it was like uneven.
Yeah.
So one side had 2, one side had 1. So they said it's definitely been an accident. The underside of the car was completely finished. There was even still grass in the car.
Oh my goodness,
Like,
yeah.
Someone took this car off the road, like it crashed into something. They gave me that report. I took it to the dealer and I'm like, well, and they're like, all right, you know what? If you bring the car back to us, we'll get another report done and we'll just sort out anything that's left on the car. But they said it so confidently, it's just like, we have no idea how this happened.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I believed them. I took it up there. I left it with them for like a week. They did nothing to the car. They
Oh
got
my
the
goodness.
TPMS light off. They just reset it. Then they said, yeah, we're gonna give you another report from like a different company this time. This report again was perfect. Car's in brilliant condition.
Yeah.
And then I got the car, and then this is when I just went back to my finance company, and I was just like, you guys need to help me because this is just going. And I was calling the finance company like every day for half an hour, 45 minutes. And eventually the finance company bought it back from me because it was a weird time. GTRs were going up in price.
Yeah.
It was now worth like 20% more than I paid for it, but I didn't know that. They didn't tell me. They just took it from me and sold it. And that's how I got out of that. This whole ordeal took about 6 months.
Wow.
Refund for all payments. And everything. So.
Have you ever had any other issues with dealerships, Ricardo?
Bought a car from a dealership. They were selling it for me, so it was on sale or return, and they crashed my car.
This is the same dealership, by the way. This is the same dealership, by the way. He hasn't gone to a different dealership. He's gone to the same one. And how did you find out that it crashed?
So I was in the store looking to buy yet another car from said dealership, and then my wife was outside with my son, and so I'm walking around the dealership, and she calls me, and I'm like, oh, does she just need to go? And I answer, she's like, I think someone just reversed your car into a bollard, and I'm like, no, that's no. And she's like, I'm pretty sure. I'm like, okay. I come outside, I see the guy that I gave my keys that was moving my car around, someone else, and they're looking at the car, like head in their hands. It's like,
oh my goodness.
I don't know how this happened. And yeah.
But they fixed it and they sold the car for you.
I to this day I didn't see how they fixed the car because the carbon was broken.
I see.
Broken, and if anyone knows, you can't like reweave carbon.
Yeah, it will be rough, yeah.
So they have to replace it, but I just know for a fact they didn't replace it. I didn't see it when it was fixed. They sold it straight away.
And you got your money?
And I got my money.
Oh, okay, so happy ending for you. But for someone else there that bought a McLaren 720S was it black or grey? In satin black, you need to get that checked out ASAP. But it's not only crash damage that you have to look out for when you're buying a car. Sometimes you may purchase a car that's A-okay, and then a few days after you get it, or a week or so later, you may start having issues. And the car can develop into something that is referred to in the motor industry as a lemon. So a quick one, a lemon is basically if you buy a car and it all seems all right, and then you get home and then find out it's not really working properly, it's got faults that make it undrivable, or it just constantly has faults. Even if it had crash damage, it's kind of a lemon. It just means a car that is not really one that you want to hold of. So my friend Dan here, who has kindly joined us to tell his story, he's actually got a flight in like 2 hours. And he's out kind of his heart. He's come to share his lemon car story. So, would you share away, Dan?
Yeah. I bought a Porsche Taycan Turbo S from Land Rover Bolton. Now I know it sounds crazy. Land Rover got a part exchange in, and yeah, long story short, they had the car for sale. I showed it to Tomi at the time, and Tomi was telling me to go for a newer GTS, which would have less issues. But I decided against, and yeah, look, it looked like a good deal at the time. The car was online for £115,000. I managed to actually get a deal at £103,000 on that car, which I thought was an excellent deal. However, that's where the issue started. Before I had even collected the car, I started asking questions. Wasn't really getting the answers that I wanted, but because the car had the spec that I wanted, the right things, the Burmester £4,000 sound system, the panoramic glass sunroof, all those things, I decided that I'm gonna go for this car. But from the minute I picked up this car, it was just straight chaos. electric port terminals weren't closing in the way that they should. The infotainment system just kept restarting itself. The electric range was much shorter than it needed to be. I raised the query with Land Rover Bolton. However, they tried to trick me on the fact that because I came to pick up the car, I didn't have any of the consumer law rights that I thought I did. So I reached out to Santander, who I had the finance with, and I also reached out to the ombudsman. Now, I think at this point in time, we are still kind of recovering from the COVID backlog, so the ombudsman were taking a lot longer to get back to people than they should have been. So my case honestly took probably up to 6 months. However, Santander were really good to me. They sent an inspector to come and look at the faults, and he was able to verify that sometimes the camera systems don't work, sometimes the lights do funny things, sometimes the electric charging ports don't open up like the way they should. So essentially they worked in my favor and ruled that Land Rover Bolton should essentially take my car back as a reject. However, I think it's safe to say that Taycan prices were falling quite heavily at the time, and between the time period that I had bought the car for £103,000 and how long this case took to kind of resolve itself, I'd like to say if I was selling that car in that time period, I would have been selling it for £80,000. That car lost £23,000 in the time that I had it. So Santander had to take the car on. Land Rover did not accept responsibility, and therefore the process in that case is that Santander would need to take the car, sell it through an auction site or whatever it is, for whatever they can get for the car. I think I actually saw the car go on an auction site through another trader that I know. The car actually went for £72,000 at the time, which is significantly less than what I paid for it. And then with the shortfall, Santander would have to pursue Land Rover Bolton for the shortfall. Santander also told me that they vowed to never work with Land Rover Bolton again, and they were now on the blacklist. But yeah, I guess it goes to show, definitely buy your cars on finance because you get additional security. If I didn't buy that car on finance, I don't know what would have happened.
So luckily Dan got away harm-free in that situation, but there's numerous people that haven't. And again, I must recommend the financial ombudsman, speaking to a solicitor, and if you have finance, speak to your finance company, see if they can help. And if none of those people are helping, reach out to me and I'll see what I can do. I might as well use my presence for good, right? But that's enough on crash damage cars or cars that are lemons. And it's time to get into something that is quite close to me, the allocation game. An allocation is basically where a manufacturer gets to decide who gets to buy their most exclusive cars, their special edition cars, or their cars that they think that will go up in value. For customers like me, this means that you sometimes go about buying cars that you might not necessarily want in order to get these allocations. You basically purchase for the future and hope that it pays off. But this is where things can get really messy. A lot of buyers get told things like, if you buy this car now, we'll make sure that you get into one of the special cars next year, next month, or maybe even next week. They make it sound like you're building a relationship, like you're farming the loyalty with them. They make it sound like something to look forward to, that you're playing this game and it's going to be exciting because the payoff is going to be huge. However, a lot of the time, you're just being misled. You see, dealers will refuse to put this in writing. They'll refuse to communicate, or sometimes even if they do put it in writing, they'll do so with no intention of fulfilling the promise that they've given to you. Speaking from experience, you shouldn't see this as promises. Instead, you should probably just look at it like gambling, because essentially there is nothing that's written down, there's nothing given to you, or sometimes even if they do put it in paper, they can just change their mind at the flip of a switch. I don't want to expose some of these stories because some of these customers are still buying cars from this dealership with the promise of hopefully one day getting a car. And I also don't want to put anyone in hot water. But one thing I can do is speak from my experience. You see, I've bought numerous cars over the years. I've been a massive Porsche fan, I've been a massive Ferrari fan, and these are two brands that are notorious for investing in customers when the customers invest in them. However, I made the mistake of going to the wrong type of dealership. You see, the manufacturer, the people who build these cars and the people that license the dealership don't actually know sometimes what's happening in these dealerships. For example, I used to go to a different Ferrari dealer than the one I use right now. And I just want to start by saying the Ferrari dealership I use now are out of this world, and they make sure that they fulfill on any promises. And if there's any issues, they also make sure they rectify them. However, that hasn't always been the case with me. You see, I used to go to a different Ferrari dealership, a Ferrari dealership that I thought were investing in me like I was investing in them, a Ferrari dealership that I thought were almost friends. I was told by said Ferrari dealership that if I purchased a Ferrari SF90, that I would get a Purosangue allocation. And I was also told that if I purchase an SF90 and I get the Purosangue allocation, I will also get an allocation for a Ferrari SF90 XX. You guys can probably tell from my channel that I do not have a Ferrari SF90 XX, and I did have a Purosangue, but I didn't actually buy it from Ferrari themselves. You see, the reason for that is I think they were just selling dreams to sell more cars. You see, I put my money down for the Ferrari SF90, I purchased that car. Admittedly, I actually like the SF90, but I was told that part of it was me getting a Purosangue. I was given a Purosangue allocation, but I was told that it was going to happen within a year to a year and a half. At this point, it was 2 years on after I initially paid the money down, and my car slot had never even been allocated to me. It was given to me on the system. I hadn't spec'd the car, and I had no idea when it was coming. So at this point, I told them, look, if it's not happening anytime soon, just give me my money back. I do not want this car. The SF90 XX has been announced. Again, I haven't been given a slot. I'm waiting for a Purosangue. I don't know when it's going to materialize. Prices are falling. I could just buy one used. I said to them even that I will buy a used Purosangue from your dealership. They said, okay, no worries, Tommy, we'll send you your deposit back. It took them 3.5 months to send my £50,000 deposit back to me. 3.5 months. The reason for this, I've been told by an inside source, is that they were upset that I wanted my deposit back, and they were also using that deposit to fund the purchase of part exchanges. How true this is, I'm not actually sure, but it just shows how far dealerships will go in order to sell your car. So eventually I got my money back. There were a few people at the dealership that I actually still really liked. So I thought, you know what, it's no hard feelings. I've got my money back. I went online, I went to a website called Collecting Cars, and I bought a Purosangue off an auction. And I thought, yeah, that's fine, that's all good. But then a little birdie, someone else that knows people at the dealership, informed me that said dealership was bad-mouthing me amongst each other and to their customers, saying, why did I go and cancel my Purosangue order only to then go and purchase one off Collecting Cars? I'm this and I'm that. I don't want to go too far into what they said because I'd have to censor it. So me, as the person I am, I just put it up online. I said, is it normal for a dealership to hold someone's deposit for this amount of months? Is it normal for a dealership to promise an allocation and not give it to you? Eventually, someone that I actually like at the dealership called me up and he apologized. He said that was wrong. People at the company shouldn't have said that. Anyway, all was said and done. I didn't get my allocation. I had an SF90. I liked the SF90, admittedly. Like, I grew to love the car. It was amazing. But ultimately, I didn't get my allocation. And if I didn't want the SF90, I would have been out of pocket 380,000 Great British pounds. So it just speaks to the extent that these people will go in order to get a sale. So like I'm saying, these dealerships are not your friend. If you want an allocation, make sure you get it in writing. WhatsApp is good enough. Email is even better. And if you can get it on actually letterhead paper, yeah, then you're just winning. But these aren't the only ways that dealerships can fleece a customer for money. There are a lot of things that dealerships will try and sell you on top of your car in order to make a slight bit more on top, even if they know that it's not the right deal for you. Sometimes dealerships will sell you things like paint protection or ceramic coating. More times than not, I've heard stories of this thing not even being applied to the car in the first place and customers being left out of pockets of hundreds of pounds. Also, sometimes they'll sell you these products at extortionate rates when you can actually get it at a fraction of the cost. It's important that you read what you're purchasing every single time. And I know the excitement of buying a car is a rush. It's something that is quite overwhelming to go through. However, just get the paperwork and read through it. And if you don't want to read through it, there are many AI sources now that can read through it for you that may be able to help. But again, it's not all dealerships that are like this. A lot of first-party dealerships and third-party dealerships are actually genuine people, and they will inform you if they think, I mean, it's something we sell, but I don't think you really need it. And that's the kind of dealership you want to be purchasing from. There are a bunch of dealerships out there that are actually good people, like European Prestige that I was talking about. So what I've done is I've created something to help you guys. So here's how I recommend you protect yourself. Always get a promise in writing. Look over anything before you sign it. Check out the Google reviews of the place where you're purchasing the car from. Check comparables on the products you're buying. Make sure that whatever you're buying doesn't sound too good to be true. And if there's a red flag, look out for it. And also, most importantly, if you feel like you're being pressured, walk away. It's better to walk away from being missold or being scammed than buy something just because someone called you a few times more than you wanted them to. The car world runs on emotion, but the second you start to buy with your heart and not your head, you become exposed to being scammed. I don't want to end this on a bad note, so I want to fill you guys in on something I've been working on for a while. Essentially, it's Tomi Presents the Car Buyer's Guide, and it is what it says on the tin. It's my list of cars that I think will go up in value or maintain their value, cars that I think are a good buy, dealerships that I recommend, dealerships that I think you should avoid, and things like where you can get insurance and where you can get the best finance deals. I've created this to help you to not make mistakes that I've made in the past. It has information on where you can get things like car checks done, where you can get HPI, and where you can make sure that the car you're buying isn't a scam and it's the right one for you. There's a free version that gives you my top dealerships, and then there's a paid version if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of buying a car or selling a car. The car world doesn't have to be full of scams. If we share knowledge, we all win. So hopefully, me sharing my knowledge with you will help you find and buy your dream car.